Esteemed honorees and distinguished guests, this day is not about me, but rather the finalists in this inaugural year of the Allard Prize, who have endured and prevailed in their fight for transparency, accountability, the rule of law, and basic human rights. These fights are real, despite mostly being invisible to those of us who live and work comfortably. Today is about recognizing heroes in these fights and telling their stories in the hope that doing so will inspire change, not just in our systems, but in each of us personally. Once the construction of the Army Hut classrooms was completed here at UBC, just after the end of the Second World War, the generation of UBC law students who preceded me came forward with a new sense of hope and commitment to build a better and more just world. Tens of millions of the world's citizens had just died horrific deaths through the most cruel atrocities and traumas imaginable. Political regimes preceding World War II, both on the extreme left and right, clearly demonstrated that despite their constitutions and manifestos to the contrary, the realities of their political administrations stripped citizens of their basic democratic rights of fairness and justice through denial of an equitable rule of law. Tyranny reigned. After the war, with the assistance of a number of initiatives, including the Marshall Plan and creation of the United Nations, democracy in North America and Europe began to encounter an era of peace and stability. Every form of government is a constant work in progress, demanding full transparency, accountability, and value for those citizens who work and deliver revenue to the system. The goal is to ensure that those less fortunate are raised up to a minimum level, that checks and balances over power and abuse of power actually work, and that our democratic values and principles are rooted to the middle ground where a strong sense of right and wrong, social justice and truth are in place and stabilized. We often naively think that the issues of accountability, corruption, and the lack of the rule of law are second and third world issues. But the reality is that our Western democracies are subject to precisely the same concerns. Over the past 30 years, the necessary checks and balances have been increasingly eroded through deregulation and the influence of money over substance and democratic principles. Stability and the rule of law have, to a significant extent, given way to unfettered power in the hands of a few and an overtaxed and increasingly vulnerable middle class. Personal self-interest and short-term greed are threatening legal systems around the world, and long-term protections are disappearing. Much of this degradation has been accomplished with or sanctioned by the concurrence of our legal and judicial brethren. Furthermore, there has been a loss of judicial independence over time, and judges themselves, some of whom come to their positions through elaborate political networking systems, are themselves subject to the temptations of their own and their associates' interests. In order to protect each and every democratic principle that we hold dear, it's imperative that we foster more independent, probative, balanced, and impartial justice systems worldwide. We must protect and fight for the basic rights that some people have today and for which others yearn. For history has warned us that they are fragile and they can disappear overnight. What better place to highlight the need to strengthen the concept of the rule of law, ethics, and international integrity within the legal profession and the broader community than at UBC Law? And how better to support this activism than to focus attention on those guiding lights in the world who tirelessly and selflessly fight, often at great personal risk, on behalf of those who are denied equal access to a just and fair legal system. The carefully considered Allard Prize criteria are all critical and essential criteria that must be weighed individually before choosing the prize winner. Anti-corruption and human rights are not themselves the focus of the prize. Rather, the prize honors those precious and inspirational souls whose work and action embody all of the prize criteria, including leadership, courage, transparency, accountability, and the rule of law.